Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be checking on some Liberal ministers that we have, in particular Mark Holland, the Minister of Health, and Yara Saks, the Minister of Mental Health and Addictions, as they were questioned yesterday during a sitting in the House of Commons by quite a few of the members. Now, this opening clip I'm about to play you is a Liberal asking Mark Holland this question, and I want you to just listen to what he has to say.
He said something very interesting. He said, observing a problem is easy. It's easy to see a problem. Dealing with a problem and actually coming up with solutions that actually require work is something completely different. Can he expand on that, please?
The Honourable Minister.
Well, I believe it was Teddy Roosevelt who observed that there are many people who sit on the sidelines and cast criticism. And how easy it is to do. It requires no talent or ability to sit from the sideline and cast criticism, to mock or attack those that try to make things better. And I think that it is owed to every Canadian that every member in this House stands in their place and offers solutions. And I can tell you when it comes to health care, I've heard nothing. The only thing I've heard from the Conservatives is what they won't do. They won't do dental care. They won't do pharmacare. They haven't said what they're going to do with the investments that we're making elsewhere in the health system and mental health and other areas. But what is their plan for those that are uninsured? What is their plan for those who are in need? What is their plan when 70% of chronic disease and illness in this country, most of the things that fill our hospitals, are preventable? They have no plan. Their only plan is to criticize our action, to phone around and hope they can stop a dentist from participating so we don't get the political credit of a senior getting dental care. And then we wonder why people get cynical about our profession. This should be a place where we debate solutions, where we have lined up against each other two plans to make things better in this country. Their way's been tried, Mr. Speaker. The idea of trickle down, cut taxes for the most affluent, and cross your fingers for everybody else. You know, Adam Smith and the invisible hand we recognized wasn't enough. We learned it sometime in about the 1800s. We need social safety nets. We need to have strong health care. We need to make sure that as people are competing and participating in our marketplaces, that they're not allowed to fall through the cracks. That doesn't happen by doing nothing. It doesn't happen by cutting. It happens through hard work and the courage of action.
Now, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm finding it harder and harder to listen to any of these guys, whether it's Freeland, Holland, Guilbeault, Trudeau. It's just almost impossible to really get through anything that these guys are saying. But to touch on a few of his talking points here, he mentions being criticized and how easy it is. Well, yeah, you guys make it extremely easy to criticize anything that you guys are doing because none of what you're doing is working. Canadians are suffering more than they probably ever have. And you guys keep announcing all these programs and ways to help them when you're the ones who basically put us into these situations just to create these programs to try to help us get them out of them. But then he moves on to how the House should be a place where solutions are created and we need to line up multiple plans, yet then he shuts down their plan immediately saying, oh, it's been tried. However, we need to have strong pharmacare and people need to fight in a free market to compete against each other. We already have that. Yet the NDP Liberal government want to create a singular pharmacare situation which would eliminate any sort of competition and just cause the federal government to have an overseeing hand over everything. And Pierre addressed this last week, actually, in the House during another question period.
The honourable member for Victoria.
Across the country are in support of universal pharmacare and the delivery of diabetes medication to Canadians. The leader of the opposition and his family have one of the best healthcare plans in the country. I met a mother who is so concerned about how she can't afford medication and
I can't hear the question. And I'm sure that the official opposition leader is having a hard time hearing the question because his own members are heckling the member for Victoria. I would ask them to hold back if they have questions and comments to wait till the appropriate time. The honourable member for Victoria.
His mom told me she could barely think about anything except for how much the medication and devices cost her daughter with diabetes. She was 3 or 4 years old. I don't know how anyone could look that little girl in her eye and say that she doesn't deserve access to life-saving medication. Why does the member think that he and his family deserve coverage and this family and families just like them across Canada don't?
Bravo. To answer, the honourable member for the Leader of the Opposition.
Well, first of all, if the member thinks that parliamentarians have too good coverage, she can put forward a motion to cut it back. But instead what she's done is to propose to cut back drug plans for everyday Canadians, particularly unionized Canadians. Roughly 90% of Canadians have some drug coverage. But the bill that the NDP and Liberals have put forward requires a single payer means only a federal government plan. So she would ban private and even provincial plans and replace them with a federal government plan, a government that cannot even figure out how to deliver a passport would suddenly become responsible for providing you with drug coverage. How does she look hard-working Canadians in the eye while she promises to take away their hard-won, collective bargaining, secured drug coverage?
So I find it quite rich when Mark Holland is making these statements and complaining about this stuff when the proof is in the pudding. And it's even more clear when we get to Melissa Lantsman questioning Yara Sachs on this whole drug situation that's especially happening in BC. And Yara Sachs, you can tell in her facial expressions, is trying not to implicate herself. She is thinking very carefully, even when she has a limited time to answer. You can tell she's really trying not to criminalize herself. She doesn't want to be implicated at all. And at one point, I don't know if it's a lawyer or another parliamentary member, he doesn't look familiar, but this gentleman hands her a note so she can answer right from what he's written to her.
The Fair Price Pharma is a company who got 15 kilograms of imported heroin licensed by Health Canada at some point. Has the minister met with the CEO, Perry Kendall?
The Honourable Minister has 19 seconds on the
I
clock.
have not met with the CEO, but just to be clear, we have not granted a license to Fair Price Pharma. They haven't even applied.
The Honourable Member from Thornhill.
They are in possession of 15 kilograms of imported heroin as a result of a license that was granted by Health Canada, just to be clear. Has anybody in the minister's office met with Perry Kendall?
The Minister has 12 seconds.
I have not met with Perry Kendall, and I will say again, Fair Price Pharma has not applied for a license, nor do they have one.
The Honourable Member from Thornhill.
In the minister's office met with Perry Kendall, yes or no?
The Honourable Minister has 4 seconds.
No.
The Honourable Member from Thornhill.
Has anybody in the office met with representatives from Fair Price Pharma?
The Honourable Minister has 4 seconds. The Honourable Member from Thornhill.
Mr. Speaker, the lobby registry says that on September 15th, 2023, that representatives from the minister's office met with Fair Price Pharma. So can she tell the House if that's true or not?
The Minister has 17 seconds.
To my knowledge, no one from my office has met with Fair Price Pharma.
The Honourable Member from Thornhill.
Does the minister have any idea what is going on in her office and who has met with Fair Price Pharma?
The Honourable Minister has 5 seconds.
To my knowledge, no one on my team has met with Fair Price Pharma.
The Honourable Member from Thornhill.
This is a order paper question from the government, so either the government is not being forthwith with the House, or the minister has no idea what's going on in her office. Now, has anybody from her ministry met with any representatives from Fair Price Pharma? I don't know how long we're going to have to do this.
The Honourable Minister has 17 seconds.
To my knowledge, my predecessor, Minister Bennett, met with Fair Price Pharma, but I'm not sure what member of her team they have met with her.
The honourable member from Thornhill.
On September 15th, the minister was actually occupying the office, and the government said that the participation in that meeting was from the minister's office. So was she briefed about that meeting on September 15th, 2023, when she was minister, with the representatives from Fair Price Pharma?
The honourable minister has 18 seconds.
I believe I've answered the question previously, and I will reiterate, to my knowledge, and I know I have not met with Fair Price Pharma. If a member of my team has met with Fair Price Pharma, the member already has the answer.
The honourable.
Like, it's actually quite disgusting, pathetic, Weasley. The way she responds, the condescendingness in her tone. She even tried to have help assisted to her, which then she still got caught with her hand in the cookie jar because she was the minister of mental health and addictions during the time that Melissa Lantsman was questioning her on. But she was, again, trying to pass the blame onto somebody else. Oh, it was my predecessor. No, it was you. You were in that role. It may have not been you directly, but you probably know who it was. And again, just look at the way she responds to these questions. The hesitation. She looks like she's getting red. She's getting flustered because she knows she's about to get implicated in something that she doesn't want to get implicated in. But as Melissa Lantsman moves on to the next set of questions, she still can't seem to give a solid answer.
Member from Thornhill.
If the minister isn't planning to fund the so-called safe supply of heroin, why is anybody in the ministry, her office, her predecessor's office, meeting with Fair Price Pharma?
The honourable minister has 12 seconds.
I have not met with Fair Price Pharma. Our prescribed alternative programs and the drugs distributed are paid for and prescribed by the provinces.
The honourable member from Thornhill, and I would like to let her know that she has just over 1 minute.
We are clearly not getting a straight answer from the minister, so I will move on to something that she probably can answer and should answer. She's a minister from Toronto. Her failed experiment in British Columbia that she had to pull back because she was forced to by the radical NDP government there, will she rule it out for good in Toronto forever?
Just say no. The honourable minister has 23 seconds.
Mr. Speaker, the member doesn't seem to appreciate the importance of collaborative work between the federal government and jurisdictions in addressing the overdose crisis. We will continue to work with all jurisdictions as per their requests on what we can do to save lives.
The honourable member has 22 seconds left.
Yes or no question. Yes or no.
The honourable minister has 4 seconds.
The federal government will always work with its provincial and municipal partners to ensure that we address.
The honourable member from Thornhill.
To show that after the next election, if they are elected, they will legalize the same way in British Columbia, in Toronto, that she will do in Toronto that she did in British Columbia. She just basically said yes.
From Thornhill has elapsed her time, but I'll allow the honourable minister to 6 seconds to respond.
We don't work in hypotheticals, we work with facts.
She works with facts. Well, the fact is, your program is not working. Clearly, BC just rescinded their request to have the drugs decriminalized. They need them recriminalized because the facts are the safe supply situation is not working. And as Lantsman pointed out, she's a minister of Toronto. She should be able to answer this. And even later on, she gets questioned from one of the members from Quebec, I believe, or another conservative who's from Quebec. And he asks her about Montreal, and she gives the same kind of rinse and repeat cycle that she keeps giving these people. I really don't get how these guys aren't held in contempt, arrested for perjury, put in jail just to get them out for all the constant corruption that's happening. Like, something really needs to happen to these guys before the next election. They can't keep holding their positions of power like this. They need to get kicked out. But as always, just my opinion. I'd love to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought about this whole situation. If you got as pissed off as I did watching this. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks so much.